Imagine a single embryo. One cell becoming 2, then 4, then thousands, until an eye forms in exactly the right place. Not a finger, not skin, an eye. And somehow, every cell knows what to become. Now zoom out. A flock of birds turns like one organism. A school of fish changes direction in perfect synchrony. An ant colony builds structures no single ant could design. And then there's the human world. The same ideas, inventions, even fashion trends, emerging in different places at nearly the same time. So here's the question we're exploring today. Is there an invisible memory connecting living things? Maybe even the universe itself? Or can everything be explained by the laws of nature we already know? We're going to separate this into 3 layers: what science strongly supports, what science is actively investigating, and what remains controversial or speculative. No hype, just clarity. I'm Dr. Gaby, and if you love the edge where neuroscience, biology, and big questions collide, you're in the right place. Now let's step through the doorway. Start with the simplest miracle, building a human. One fertilized egg. Nearly every cell contains the same DNA, yet those cells become brain, eyes, skin, muscle, heart. The mainstream scientific answer is powerful. Genes switch on and off. Epigenetics tunes expression, chemicals diffuse, cells signal, morphogens form gradients, and tissue mechanics shape outcomes. But even with all of that, a deeper question lingers. How does a system coordinate at scale? How do millions of cells arrive at the same architectural plan, reliably, again and again? Some scientists argue no extra mystery is needed. Complexity emerges from simple rules interacting over time. Others wonder, could there be an additional organizing principle we haven't measured yet? That brings us to one of the most debated ideas in modern biology and philosophy of nature. Rupert Sheldrake's hypothesis of morphic fields, stated simply, is that nature may have a kind of memory. Not memory like a brain remembers, but memory as habit. Patterns that, once they occur, become more likely to occur again. He called the mechanism morphic resonance, the idea that similar systems across time can influence each other, not through genes, not through learning, but through resonance with prior patterns. If that sounds strange, good, it should. Because this is not a mainstream conclusion, it's a controversial attempt to explain why form and behavior can look like they have a momentum of their own. Here's the Steelman version. If millions of organisms develop a structure or behavior successfully, perhaps future organisms find it easier to reproduce that pattern, like nature learns by repetition. And here's the hardest question. If that were true, how would you test it? Because if it's real, it should leave measurable fingerprints. This is where the story gets heated, because Sheldrake and others point to experiments that appear suggestive, while critics argue the effects are inconsistent, poorly controlled, or not reliably replicated. Let's talk about one famous category, rats and mazes. Some reports suggested that once a maze had been learned by many rats, later rats elsewhere learned it faster. If true, it would be explosive, because it would imply learning is not confined to brains or genes. But critics point out replication issues, subtle procedural differences, expectancy effects, and alternative explanations that don't require new forces. So where does that leave us? With a lesson: interesting results are not the same as settled science. The only thing that turns maybe into yes is repeatability. Next, the case that became a media lightning rod, the dog that knew when its owner was coming home. A dog named JT reportedly waited at the door at the right times, even when the schedule changed. Is that telepathy? Or could it be something simpler? Routine cues, sounds, neighborhood patterns, or selective memory where the hits feel loud and the misses fade away? Here's the honest answer. Cases like this are intriguing, but they're notoriously hard to isolate from unconscious signals. And without airtight controls, the story can outpace the evidence. Another category is even more personal, the feeling of being watched. Someone stares at you from behind, and you turn around. Many people swear they can feel it. You know the other version of this that almost everyone recognizes. You're going about your day, and out of nowhere, a specific person pops into your mind. Someone you haven't seen or spoken to in years. You picture their face, you remember their voice, maybe you even dream about them that night. And then, sometimes within hours, sometimes the next day, you get a message, a call, a random, "Hey, I was just thinking about you." It feels eerie, like your mind reached out and touched theirs. And even if you don't believe in telepathy, the timing can land with so much emotional precision that you still catch yourself thinking, how is that possible? Carl Jung called these moments synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that feel too precise to be random, even when no causal link can be found. He wasn't claiming telepathy, he was pointing at something subtler, that meaning and timing can align in ways that feel significant, even if we can't explain the mechanism. Now here's where we have to be careful and honest. Two things can be true at once. First, our brains are extraordinary pattern detectors. We remember the hits, we forget the misses. We think of hundreds of people over weeks and only notice the one who called. And second, the emotional weight of these moments is real. The meaning you assign to them is real. A reductive explanation doesn't erase the experience, it just doesn't confirm the mechanism. So we're left with two interpretations that can coexist. One, it's cognition, pattern detection, probability, and memory bias. Two, there's something about attention, emotion, and connection that we don't fully understand yet. The honest position isn't to pick one and dismiss the other. It's to stay curious and demand better tools to measure what's actually happening. Some experiments report above-chance detection, others fail to replicate cleanly, and the scientific community does not have a consensus that a watching effect is real. Pause here, because this is where people often get trapped. When a phenomenon is uncertain, the mind wants a verdict, true or false. But science often lives in a third place, not proven yet. But before we explore what science says about all of this, let's talk about an experiment that quietly shook the foundations of biology. Two scientists, one in Japan, one in the United States, independently arrived at the same extraordinary question: can a living creature remember something after its entire body has been dissolved and rebuilt from scratch? Dr. Martha Weiss, an entomologist at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., had already published a landmark study showing that moths could retain memories formed during their larval stage, even after undergoing complete metamorphosis. Think about what that means. Inside a chrysalis, a caterpillar doesn't simply grow wings, it dissolves, almost entirely. Its tissues break down into a biological soup of cells. Its nervous system is radically reorganized, and from that dissolution, something new emerges, and yet the memory survived. On the other side of the world, a young researcher in Kobe, Japan named Joe Nagai, read Dr. Weiss's study and decided to take it further. Joe raised swallowtail caterpillars at home. He trained them to associate a specific scent, lavender oil, with a mild but unpleasant stimulus, an electric shock delivered by a small muscle therapy device. The caterpillars learned. They began to avoid the scent. Then they entered metamorphosis. And when they emerged as butterflies, 80% of them still avoided the lavender. The memory had survived the complete dissolution and reconstruction of their nervous system. But Joe didn't stop there. He tested the next generation. Caterpillars born from those trained butterflies, offspring that had never smelled lavender, never received a shock, never had any direct experience with that scent whatsoever, also avoided it. And then the third generation showed the same behavior. 3 generations, the same avoidance, the same fear, passed down without a single direct experience. The scientific term for this is epigenetic inheritance, the idea that lived experiences can alter how genes are expressed, and that those alterations can be passed to descendants. But here is the question that science has not yet fully answered. How exactly does a butterfly encode the memory of fear into an egg? How does a caterpillar that has never encountered danger already know to be afraid? Is this purely molecular, a chemical tag on a strand of DNA? Or is something else being transmitted, something we don't yet have the language to describe? Because if a butterfly can pass the memory of an experience to offspring that never lived through it, what does that tell us about memory itself? What if memory is not just something that lives inside a brain? What if it can exist in biology itself, in the very structure of life? And if that's true for butterflies, could it be true for us? Could it be true for nature itself? That is the question we are going to explore for the rest of this video. Now, if you don't like speculative explanations, there's a powerful framework that explains many of these patterns without invoking hidden fields, self-organization, and emergence. Think about an ant colony. One ant has limited intelligence, but thousands of ants following local rules, responding to pheromones, obstacles, and each other, can build complex structures and adapt in real time. No master architect, no blueprint in any one ant. The mind of the colony is distributed across interactions, the same with flocks of birds. Each bird follows simple rules: keep distance, align direction, stay close to neighbors. From that emerges the illusion of a single coordinated organism. This is emergence, complex order arising from simple local interactions. You don't need a hidden memory, you need feedback loops, time, and many agents. Schools of fish follow similar rules: no leader, no central control. But the group behaves like a fluid intelligence. So here's a fair question. How many mysteries dissolve once we understand self-organization deeply enough? And how many remain, stubborn, unaccounted for? Let's take animal migration. Sea turtles return to the same beaches decades later. Salmon find the rivers where they were born. Birds cross continents and arrive with stunning precision. Science has uncovered real mechanisms: magnetoreception, the sun, stars, chemical cues, smell, and learned maps of the world. Is that the full story? Maybe. Or maybe there are layers of sensing and coordination we haven't fully modelled, because biology can be more sensitive than our instruments. Now we go smaller again, back to cells. And here's where the plot thickens, because modern biology is discovering that cells can behave in ways that look almost problem-solving. Research in developmental biology, like the work of Levin, explores how cells coordinate using bioelectric signaling, not just chemical signals. Voltage patterns across tissue can guide growth and regeneration. In some experiments, tissues can correct developmental errors, adjusting and reorganizing toward a stable body plan. It's not consciousness, but it can resemble goal-directed behavior. So ask yourself, if cells can coordinate toward complex outcomes, does that require a hidden field? Or does it reveal that the rules of organization are richer than we assumed? If you're enjoying this style of careful exploration, please subscribe. We do science with humility here, strong claims only where the data is strong, and honest uncertainty where it isn't. Now, let's scale up from cells to societies, because there's another place we see group mind illusions. Humans. Billions of minds interacting through networks. Before we talk about collective consciousness, let's ask a stranger question. Where exactly do you end? Right now, your body contains roughly 37 trillion human cells and somewhere between 38 and 100 trillion microbial cells. You are, in a very literal sense, a colony, a community, a negotiated alliance of trillions of agents, most of which have no idea you exist. And yet you experience yourself as one perspective, one continuous stream of awareness. How does a colony produce a singular I? Now scale that outward. If unity can emerge inside you from trillions of non-unified parts, is it philosophically impossible that a higher order unity could emerge across minds? Not a hive mind, not telepathy, but something like a field of shared attention, shared emotion, shared meaning. Emergence doesn't require mysticism, but it does require humility, because every time we've assumed we understood the ceiling of complexity, nature has shown us another floor above it. Why do songs, slang, behaviors, and clothing styles spread so fast? In many cases, we don't need mysticism. We have cultural transmission, social psychology, and network effects. But sometimes it feels like culture shifts as if a single organism changed its mood. Like the world caught the same idea at once. That feeling fuels the question, is there a collective consciousness? There's a research effort often mentioned here, the Global Consciousness Project. It used random number generators around the world, looking for statistical deviations during major global events. Supporters argue some analyses show patterns, suggesting shared attention or emotion might correlate with physical randomness. Critics argue statistical pitfalls, selective reporting, and that correlation doesn't establish a causal global mind. The fairest conclusion is this: it's an interesting data set, debated, criticized, and not accepted as proof of a collective consciousness by scientific consensus. Now we arrive at the deepest layer. Not does nature remember, but what is consciousness itself? Is it produced by brains, or is the brain more like a receiver? Here's a metaphor that has haunted philosophers and scientists for centuries. Imagine a radio. The radio doesn't create the music, it receives it. Tune the dial wrong, and you get static. Damage the hardware, and the signal disappears. But does that mean the music was never real? Now apply that to the brain. Neuroscience has shown us powerfully that brain states correlate with conscious states. Damage a region, lose a function, alter chemistry, alter experience. The correlation is undeniable. But here's the philosophical crack in the wall. Correlation doesn't automatically tell us the direction of causation. Does the brain generate consciousness, or does it filter it, shape it, tune it? Consider what happens when the filter changes. In deep sleep, the signal dims. Under anesthesia, it goes quiet. In meditation, Some report it becomes clearer, wider, less personal. Under certain conditions, people describe experiences that feel larger than their individual mind. None of that is proof, but it is an invitation to ask a sharper question. What exactly is the brain doing to consciousness? Producing it from scratch or shaping something that was already there? That question doesn't have a settled answer, and anyone who tells you it does, in either direction, is moving faster than the evidence allows. One philosophical view is panpsychism. The idea that consciousness, at least in some minimal form, is a fundamental property of reality. Not human thoughts, but a basic experiential aspect woven into matter. Let's be precise about what panpsychism actually claims, because it's almost always misrepresented. It does not say rocks have thoughts. It does not say your coffee mug is daydreaming. What it does say is this: consciousness, at some minimal, basic level, may be a fundamental property of reality, like mass, like charge, like spin. Not something that emerges from non-conscious matter, but something that was always already there in simpler form. The philosopher David Chalmers calls this the hard problem. Why is there something it is like to be you? Why doesn't all this neural processing happen in the dark, efficiently, silently, with no inner experience at all? Science can explain what the brain does. It struggles to explain why doing it feels like anything. And panpsychism is one serious philosophical attempt to answer that, not by adding magic, but by rethinking what matter fundamentally is. But panpsychism faces its own hard problem, the combination problem. If electrons have some micro-experience, how do billions of them combine into your unified experience right now? That question doesn't have a clean answer yet. So panpsychism is not a solution, it's a reframing. And sometimes in science, the right reframing is what opens the door to the next century of questions. Then there's a scientific hypothesis that's often discussed and heavily debated called Orch-OR, proposed by Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff. Orch-OR suggests consciousness could involve quantum processes in microtubules inside neurons. Supporters argue it could explain aspects of subjective experience. Critics challenge feasibility, evidence, and whether the brain can maintain the required quantum coherence. Notice the pattern across all these ideas. The more fundamental the question, the easier it is for certainty to outpace evidence. So we have to move carefully. Here's a concept that might bridge the gap between the mystical and the scientific. Information. Not data on a screen, but information in the deepest sense. Patterns, constraints, regularities that persist across time. The physicist John Archibald Wheeler proposed that at the deepest level, reality might be fundamentally informational. His phrase, "it from bit," the idea that physical existence emerges from yes-no questions, from information itself. If that's even partially true, then what we call memory, in nature, in organisms, in culture, might be nature's tendency to preserve and repeat stable informational patterns. Not a mystical field, but a deep structural bias toward what has worked before. This doesn't prove morphic resonance, but it does suggest that the intuition behind it, that patterns have a kind of momentum, might be pointing at something real, even if the mechanism is different from what Sheldrake proposed. The question isn't whether nature has memory. The question is, what kind of memory and what kind of mechanism? So what do we do with the possibility of a hidden memory of the universe? Here's the honest position. Many patterns in nature are explained beautifully by emergence, self-organization, genetics, and physics. And yet, there remain open problems. developmental coordination, regeneration, consciousness, the nature of subjective experience, these are not closed cases. Maybe morphic fields don't exist. Maybe universal consciousness is only philosophy. Or maybe, just maybe, we're seeing fragments of a phenomenon larger than our current models can describe. The history of science is full of questions that once sounded impossible until someone found a new way to measure them, a new way to ask them. Final thought. A single cell does not understand the organism. A single neuron does not understand the mind. A single ant does not understand the colony. And perhaps we don't yet understand the larger system we're part of. So I want to leave you with the same question we opened with, now sharper. Do you believe consciousness is created by the brain, or is it a fundamental property of the universe? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe for more explorations into science, philosophy, consciousness, and the mysteries of reality. And if you want a part 2, comment Memory of the Universe.